morning, this is Richard from Teaching Aerial Yoga, live from surprisingly sunny Lithuania actually, and we're going to give you a full kind of aerial yoga class this morning. I would say it's going to be a fairly dynamic one, maybe sort of medium to high level intensity, and you'll need your swing set to around about hip height. So if you just join me for the height test. So we're going to start with the swing round about hip height. So this will be my hip bone here, where my index finger is. It's just going to come around underneath that level, so high enough for you to hang upside down, because we're going to move into that later on in the class. So what we call hip height, and we're going to use the handles as well. So we're going to use the handles for some upper body work. So you want to have the handles on the same height as your swing. So what we'll start with, something that is often neglected in aerial yoga, is kind of leg and foot work. You know, we all want to hang upside down, we all want to do the kind of fully suspended postures, but it's important to balance things out with some leg work. And it's nice to start with your feet, your physical foundation of your posture. So we're going to start doing some stuff for the feet in this class. Our base position is to bring the forearms into the swing. So you're supporting the body weight through the forearms, and also bring your shoulders through. So get the shoulders through the swing. I always think it's kind of like you're sort of you're hanging out the window trying to see what's going on in the street below. Yeah. So don't be sort of back here. Try and bring the shoulders right through, palms together, and the body's around about a 45-degree angle, so like a diagonal line. The body. Yeah. So you lean through. And we're going to start with something simple, a little bit of a marching on the spot. Yeah, so we're stretching back, pushing back into your calf muscles. Little tip here is, if you find that you're sort of rounding and you're losing your neck, then what you want to focus on is pushing into the swing with the arms. So as soon as you push into the swing, you'll feel a lot more kind of length and alignment come into your spine. So all you have to do is just a gentle pushing down into the material, and that effort, that force comes back through the body and improves your alignment. So I've done a little bit of marching on the spot. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to rock back. Actually, I'm just going to rock back until my hips are further back than my ankles, and then I'm going to lean forwards, lifting onto my toes, squeezing the belly a little bit as well. So I'm rocking back into the heels, and then I'm pushing forwards to the toes. So I'm stretching the tendons in the toes and the feet and the hamstrings a little bit. And then I'm going to do a little bit of circling. So I'm pushing off to the side and coming forwards and around and back. So I find with this movement, once you know how to do it, it's dead easy. It's sort of intuitive. But if you're struggling to get going, then focus on the pushing outwards. So if you get some effort into the pushing outwards, then the momentum, the effort will take you round. You just have to push off again when you come to the beginning of your circle. Push off to the side, and then the momentum will take you round. We're going to change directions. Push off to the side, come around in the other direction. So when I'm doing this, I'm not kind of just hanging. So often there's a tendency in the swing to just kind of hang from it. I'm actually pushing into it, engaging the centre of the body a bit more, keeping some nice length in the spine. So here we are, we've done a little bit of circling. What we're going to do now is jump the feet out, lift the heels into like a sumo squat, we call this. And provided there's no discomfort in your knees, we're going to do a little bit side to side, a little bit of strengthening movement for the arches of the feet when we do this. A little bit side to side. And then we're going to jump the feet back in to hip width apart, and we're going to do some more arch strengthening exercises for the feet. So when we do this, what I'm trying to do is I'm keeping the big toe down and I'm lifting the other four toes. So that might not be, I'm going to try and give you a close-up of that. So I'm big toes down, Legs are straight, lifting the other 4 toes. And whilst I'm lifting these toes, I'm also going to rock the body weight very gently forwards and backwards to further help strengthen the arches of the feet. Because if the feet are collapsing inwards or outwards, that's going to affect the whole of your posture all of the time, isn't it? Whenever you're standing. So it's good to strengthen the arches. Now I'm going to lift the big toe and to the best of my ability, bring the other 4 toes down towards the floor. Yeah. So big toe lifting, 4 toes down as much as you can. And again, I'm going to give this a little bit of a rock, backwards and forwards. And then I'm just going to swap again. Big toe, 4 toes lift, big toe down, 4 toes lift. And then 4 toes down, big toe lifts. A bit of a rock. Okay, and the final one I'm going to do is I'm going to turn onto the front of my right foot. So I'm going to stretch the front of the ankle. I'm going to lean forwards. Yeah, I'm going to lean forwards, and then I'm going to begin to use the range of motion the swing gives me. Yeah, so it's low impact, isn't it? My body's been supported, a lot of my body weight is being supported by the swing. So I can, from this position, I can use this side-to-side movement to stretch the muscles and the tendons in the front of the ankle. And then I can rock back, change sides, push forwards, same thing. Good, so we're going to come out and round to the front of the swing, and we're going to do a little bit of work with the middle handles. So I'm going to lower these a little bit actually. I'm just going to bring mine down 1 notch so they're a little bit lower down my chest. So we're going to do some upper body work using the second handles. So when you're doing upper body work, whenever you're sort of pulling and using the handles, then that tends to open the chest and opens the intercostals down the side of the body. It tends to release heat. It's quite energizing when you do upper body work. Obviously you have to be careful if you've got any history issues with your wrist and also with your shoulder. So don't do anything that doesn't feel right for you personally when you're following this class. We'll start with some side-to-side movement. So we're going to go into what I would call like a narrow triangle base with your legs. Yeah. So not the widest one you could do. So narrow triangle. And we're going to do some vinyasa style movements. So by that what we mean is we're moving with our breath. Yeah, so here I'm breathing in here, and then I'm going to turn to the side and extend my right arm, straighten my right arm, straighten my right leg. That's my exhalation. When I inhale, I'm coming back to my triangle. Then when I exhale, I'm turning to my right side, stretching my left arm forwards. Inhale to the center, and then exhale, turn. Exhale, push into that right hand. Inhale, center. Exhale, turn. So I think you probably know what's going on now, so why don't you just do a few as slowly as you can with your own breathing pattern. Okay, now we're going to pause, so whichever side you're on, don't worry about that, we just pause on that side. What I'm going to do now is do a slight kind of bouncing motion. Now I'm drawing the belly in, trying to keep my spine nicely aligned. I'm not sort of dropping, trying to avoid dropping like that. Yeah? So I'm keeping the spine well aligned, and then I'm doing this little bouncing motion. This helps to just release the upper back muscles and muscles around the shoulder blade. Okay. left side. So a little bouncing motion. I've got both of my heels lifted on both of my feet. Heels are lifted, that just helps me to bounce more easily. I'm not feeling any discomfort in my knee. If I was feeling discomfort in my knee, then I would probably avoid doing that motion. Yeah. So turning the other way, lifting both the heels, drawing the belly in, a little bit of a bouncy, bouncy, bouncy. And I'm back to the centre. What I'm going to do now, so my motion now is going to be turning to the side and twisting. So I'm going to turn, I'm going to bring the arm underneath the body, and I'm going to start to twist the chest to the side. So it's like a rotation of the spine. So it's this rotation movement. Then I'm going to inhale, because it makes sense, doesn't it, when the body's like this that you're inhaling, so you're making space like this. And then I'm going to continue to spiral to the other side, and I'm going to exhale as I twist. Inhale back to the centre. Exhale, turning, 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 bending this leading arm and twisting. Inhale, centre. Exhale, twist. Let's continue to do these at your own pace. This is a really quite a pleasant way of releasing. Twists are very good for releasing internal tension in the body. So it's nice to get some twisting motion to the spine, and we tend not to do a lot of twisting in our everyday lives, so it's good for the health and mobility of the spine. Okay, we're going to pause whichever direction you're coming over to. We're going to pause and hold, keep breathing, but hold the twist, hold the rotation. So pulling with your leading arm. Potentially you could bring that arm further underneath if you wanted to get more into the shoulder, open the shoulder a bit more. Rotate. We're going to inhale as we come into the centre, turning, leaning, and then twisting and holding. And then we're back to the centre. Now I'm going to do some more movements to open the chest and strengthen the upper back. So the first one we're going to do is you can start with your little sort of triangular base, the same base position you had for the last couple of postures. We're to send your arms forwards into what you might call a Y shape. So the hands are wider than the shoulders. You're making like a Y shape with your arms. Yeah. And what you might find, some of you, is you need to just sink down a little bit more. So you want to sink into your hips and rock the body weight backwards and forwards a few inches. Two things you want to try and avoid is like dropping the head forwards. That can be quite common. If you drop the head forwards, you're going to feel like you've lost your neck. You know, you're not really going to have freedom in your neck if you do that. This Y. It's Y shape. You might just find a nice spot for you and hold it. You know, you might sink down a little bit lower if you've got the openness in your shoulders. It becomes a bit more intense. You want to sink down, or you might think, well, that's not for me. I'm going to stay a little bit higher. Maybe I'm going to straighten my legs. I'm not going to lean as far forward. So there's always an option to take. It's right for your body. Okay, now we'll come into more what we're going to call this like W shape with the arms. So we want to bring the handles down. You'll feel like a bone here towards the inside of the elbow. Just bring it in front of that bone. So they stay just at the sort of the top of the lower arm. That's where we want to have them. And we make more of a W shape with the arms, yeah? Okay, and now again we want to just not lift the shoulders too high or you're going to lose your neck. So make sure that you're not lifting the arms too far forwards. Yeah? So you have the elbows back. Check the neck still there. And then you can sink down a little bit till you feel this opening the pecs and the top of the chest. Yeah? So what I like to do this is a kind of like a pulse. I'll come down and then I'll lift back up. I'll come down, back up. This gives me a sense of what is the right level for my body. Where does it feel like it's a pleasant opening of the muscles? And I'll come to that point and I will tend to then just stay there. I might do slight movements, doing this slight forwards and backward movement is going to open different parts of the chest muscles. Now I'm going to come up, I'm going to go a little bit wider with my feet. And I'm going to keep the swing where it is on the forearms. But I'm going to lean myself up. Actually, I'm not. I'm going to let the swing roll closer to the wrist again. Yeah, and I'm going to lean myself right over to the right side. Yeah, right over to the right side. So I'm straightening my left leg, bending my right knee, and then I'm going to come back the opposite direction. I'm just going to do this side to side movement, like a big bird. And then I'm going to bring the swings handles to the inside of the elbows. I'm going to walk forwards. You need to be careful with this one. What you want to avoid is just dropping into it. If I just hang like this, you can see from the side, my head is tilting forwards, my spine is in a bad sort of shape. It's because I'm not resisting gravity, I'm just kind of hanging from the swing. So what I would say to you is, start back here. This is an easier position to do, and then just very slowly begin to transfer the weight forwards. You're going to feel that in your chest, in your shoulders. As you come further forwards, it becomes more intense. So you just want to find your level. It might be back here, it might be straight-legged, or it might be coming a little bit further forwards, but it's never just hanging from it. That could injure you. So you controlling the movement with the core. I come to a good level. For me, I've got a little bend in my knees, keeping a little bend in my knees, and I'm just using the momentum of the swing. I'm having a little bit of a sway. Again, that allows me to access a sort of bigger area of the muscles. Okay, and I'm coming back, and we're going to do a little bit now for the posterior chain, so the back chain of muscles and the back of the body. I'm just going to turn my back on you. I'm going to grab the straps actually. Grab the straps. Step back about 1 meter from your swing and just let yourself sit down into a squat position. So potentially bringing the hips down to knee height and the elbows down to shoulder height, but trying to get the weight into the back of the body. So rather than tilting like that, you really want to pull the pelvis back and the abdominal ribs back. Yeah? So we'll do that a few times. Lift up. And then get that sense of sitting into the back of your body. And then hold. Maybe even lift the toes. Remember what we were doing in the first exercise? Maybe lift the toes. Try and lift the big toe. Just see how that affects posture for you, if that helps you to get into the back of your body a bit more. Okay, so we'll come Up, we're going to shake it out. Let's just shake out the arms, and we're going to do like a rowing exercise now. So we take the second handles, walk a little bit closer to the swing. Feet still about hip width apart. Lean back. A little bit worried about our ceiling here. We don't have large enough holes, but we'll do our best. So from here, I'm just going to do pull-ups. Yeah. Now, if it's too, obviously the further back your body is, the more intense it is. So if it was too much for you, you could maybe grab your top handles and not lean back quite so far, and then do a smaller movement. Yeah. So that's another option. Yeah, I'm going to go back to the second handles. Good, and then I'm going to come through and I'm going to take a seat. Yeah. Take a seat. Before I take a seat, I'm just going to put my handles back up to the same height as the swing. Okay, so when we go upside down, I'm going to do maybe 2 or 3 postures in a suspended position. If at any time you feel like the time is right for you to return, you should be very careful about just returning when it feels right for you. So we all have, different kind of tolerances for being inverted. There are different sort of natural tolerances. Sometimes people just have a real high tolerance for inversions and suspension from the beginning of their practice. Sometimes it develops over time. But what I'm saying to you is basically, if you need to rest, if you need to break, you should come up and take a break. Yeah, don't feel like you have to just do everything that I'm doing. Yeah. So we are going to wrap the swing around. We'll make it a little bit like a short skirt. So if you cycle the legs down and then you grab the swing material, wrap your legs around. I like to give it a little further push, so it's a little bit higher on my back. Yeah. I'm also going to get the straps out of the way. So I'm going to try a little side stretch with the handle. So I'm reaching up, got the second handles. I'm going to take the handles around my back. And then I'm going to release my left arm forwards, stretch my left foot a little bit higher, then my right leg. So I'm stretching the left side of my body. Look, use the leg as well, not just the arm. Come back up, take hold of the second handle with my left hand, come forwards, release my right arm and stretch my right leg. So notice that I'm bending my left. I'm bending my left, I can take it out to the side, but it's not active, it's just sort of resting. It's the right leg that is really strong. I'm squeezing the right thigh muscles, reaching into my right big toe. Okay, and we're going to stay down. Obviously, like I said, you're welcome to go up at any point, but we're going to stay down and we're going to do something for the hip flexors and the front of the leg. So we're going to release the right leg forwards, place the hands on the floor, and I'm going to wave this leg from side to side. I'm reaching into the big toe. Okay, and then I'm wrapping that leg back around, coming down with the left leg, reaching and waving. Wrap that leg right back around. And then I'm just going to hang again, so like we did at the beginning, I'm just going to have a few breaths hanging straight down. Reach up, pull. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to have a little crunch actually, so I'm going to crunch myself up using my arms to help me. Feel that in my abdomen. And then I'm going to release and pull. Rest my arms around the outside of the swing. Bring my chest through. This is my recovery position. So we're down from the inversion now. We're going to do some quite a dynamic lunging sequence with one of the legs suspended. So we've already opened up the hip flexors a little bit from the inverted position. So we prepared the legs slightly for quite dynamic lunging. We're going to put the right leg through, pop the toes through, and we're going to use the swing to support basically the foot and the ankle. Yeah, foot and the ankle. So first thing we're going to do is we'll drop slowly back. Yeah. Now, if you find this is too much for your knee, it's uncomfortable for your knee, don't do suspended lunges. Bring the foot down to the floor. So it's less of a pull that way. I'm going to, first of all, I'm going to reach up, straight arms, and I'm just going to drop that right leg back a little bit. Maybe lift the chin. So I'm slightly looking upwards. I'm going to come forwards and I'm going to come down to the bottom handles. I'm going to push down. I'm going to drop that right knee a little bit lower. Now sometimes it's quite nice to just give it a little bit of a rock from here. Another thing you can do, get into different parts of the hip flexor, is just drop your knee out to the side as well. So rather than have it going straight back, you can drop it out to the side. I'm going to step back and come back up to the middle handles. So I've got the middle handles now, and I'm going to, this time I'm going to straighten the back leg a bit more, still supporting the ankle, and I'm going to use these arms out. You know, you could go forwards. Forward doesn't feel great for me personally. I prefer to go a bit wider with my arms. But I am actively pushing back with my right leg, so I'm actually pushing into the swing material. That helps me to lift, helps me to stay a bit more stable. You could potentially bend your knees a bit more. If you're struggling with the straight leg version, then come down and bend your knees. What I might do is I might just do a warrior 3. So for this one, rather than being lifted into a backbend, I'm bringing the body more into a T shape. So what I'm going to do is take hold of the long straps, bring myself down until my head's about hip height. And then there are many ways to transfer. So if you're new to the swing, or if you're not sure about your arm strength, I would suggest that you just step this leg out and put the other one back in. Yeah, that's the simple way and the safest way to transfer. But as you get a bit more experienced, it's quite nice to just use the capacity to flow from side to side without just sort of stepping out. So I'll show you a different way you could work up to transferring, and that is to use the middle handles, and it's to come down into a lunge, look back at the foot that's suspended, and then lift both feet in. And both feet in, and you could hold it as a plank for a while, or you could step and then step your right foot down. So the foot that was suspended is now down, yeah? And we can go into the high lunge, first of all, with the arms straight. Now I'm going to move the body weight slightly forwards. I'm going to transfer to the bottom handles. I'm going to do a slightly lower lunge with a bit of a rocking. Now this can also become a hamstring stretch, can it? If you straighten your front leg and just bring yourself down, your lunge is turning more into a hamstring opener. Do that leg out to the side that I like to stretch the hip flexors. Back to the center, and we're going to do the middle handles. For this you want to just hop back a little bit, bring your leading leg more towards the plumb line, and then straighten the back leg, straighten the arms, and find a comfortable position for your arms. It might be better for you to have them a bit more out to the side. The guidance is what's your breathing like? You know, is your breathing restricted? Then you need to do something to change your posture. Are you unstable? Then maybe you need to bend your knee. Change your arm positions, yeah. And then the final one is the Warrior 3, so the T shape with the body pushed back, take the arms straight ahead of you, coming into your best version of the T shape, so head down to about hip height. And then we're going to come back, we're just going to reach behind us, take the foot down, and we're going to come down now, we're going to bring the swing down lower. So for this what we do is take your handles off, and bring your swing to around about knee height, I would say. So if you look at the bottom of the swing, what they call the U of the swing, the bottom of the U, bring it down to about knee height, or even just a bit below your knee. Will be fine. And we're going to do a little sort of restorative twisting sequence from here. So what we'll do is we're going to put the feet in. Yeah. Now, if you get any discomfort in your knees with this, you get more of your legs supported, so it's easier if you've got more leg in there. So what I'm doing here is I've got both legs bent. I'm going to drop them to the side, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to lift my hips a few inches off the floor, so that I have to work a little bit harder to hold the position. So it's a stronger twist for me if I do that than if I stay on the floor with the hips. So the hips lift. And knees are dropping to your right, but the point I was trying to make is that if it doesn't feel good in your knee area, get more of your legs so you're not just hanging from your ankle. Okay, and then we're going to come down. Before you do the other side, just shuffle your hips a little bit towards your right side, a couple of inches. Drop your knees over to your left. And then lift the hips up, if that feels like a good option for you, lift the hips a few inches off the floor as well. What I like to do here is it's nice after you've twisted the spine to just give it a gentle mobilization and loosener to the muscles and also to the skeleton. So just do a little bit of a circling here. Also, this movement tends to be quite calming, so it's quite nice to do these kind of things towards the end of a session. So we're going to do a little bit of what we call leg circling. We'll change directions, some leg circling in the opposite direction. So I'm going to show you a slightly more intense version of the twist, but you need to manage your own body, don't you? If you feel discomfort in your knees, particularly lower back, when you do this, then go back to the first version that I showed you here, the double legs. So this version, I'm going to pull the swing up so it covers the calf. We're going to shuffle the hips a little bit over to your left, a couple of inches to your left. Yeah. And then we're going to bring the left leg out and across the body. Yeah, so like a leg over twist rather than a bent leg twist. And I'm going to lift my hips off the floor. Yeah, I'm feeling absolutely no discomfort in my right knee or my back. Some people might want to look in the opposite direction, so some people might just turn their head and look away from the sort of right side. Personally, I just prefer to keep looking up when I do this. Coming back down, both legs go in, so both lower legs go in. Shuffle over to your right side a few inches, take your right leg out and across your body. Yeah, so obviously having it a bit higher would be more intense if that's a good option for you. I'm actually going to have it much lower on this side. Both the shoulders stay down. Could also be bent legged. You know, I'm sure you've done this kind of thing in traditional classes. It's just the aerial version of a supine twist, really. Good, and then we're going to have another little circle whilst we're here. Nice kind of way to reset the lower back and the spine. Circle again, change directions. Actually, this is I sometimes forget about this. This is called the pendulum. So instead of bending the knees and doing circles, what we're going to do is legs straight ahead, arms out wide, palms down, and we're just going to take the straight legs from side to side. Yeah. Again, just taking them as high as you are comfortable with. If straight legs seems a bit of a reach for you, then you do it with bent legs. You know, the same action, the same movement. You've got to be sensitive to your own body. Okay, and then I think from here, let's have a little, you know what we could try to do here? Plough posture. Again, you need to be careful with your neck. If you're not sure, then you could maybe watch it before you come into it. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to use the swing to collect my legs. So I'm going to kick through the swing and let the swing gather on my ankles. Let me show you that again. It's a bit of a mess. So I've got the swing pretty much in line with my navel, yeah, and I'm going to put my arms on the floor and use my arms to kick my legs up, just like you would in traditional plough, but what I'm aiming for is to get the swing to come and support my legs. I'm not aiming to bring my feet all the way to the floor. I'm kicking through the swing, so watch it, arms down, kick, catch the swing on the ankles or maybe the thighs or the knees. And once you're through like this, it's a nice sustainable plough posture. Trying to bring the hips over the shoulders. So, with control, rolling yourself back down towards the floor. I would just take a moment. It's always nice. You've released a lot of pressure from inside the chest area and from that position, so when you roll down it feels quite pleasant. A couple of little neck stretches that we can also do from this height. Yeah, so just want to say about neck stretches. As I mentioned earlier in the class, it's really important that you don't just kind of hang off the swing. It's much better to kind of push into the swing, and so you maintain kind of length and lightness in your body. Yeah? So very, very important when we're doing neck stretches that you don't just feel like you're hanging from your head. You have to support plenty of your body weight through your arms. Yeah? So let me show you a couple. First one will be we're just going to put the forehead in. Yeah? So we put the swing over the forehead. And we're using these arms to support lots of the body weight. I'm not just kind of hanging. Yeah, I'm not doing that. Because I'm trying to keep the neck in a neutral position here. Yeah, so I'm pushing the forehead into the swing, and I'm really pressing my knuckles into the floor. If it's uncomfortable for you, you really need to avoid doing these. But just check that it's not because you're not hanging. Yeah? If you support weight through your arms, then it might be more comfortable for you. If that's comfortable, try a twist. So you can keep the head around forehead level, but turn the head to the side. Support the weight through the arms and try to keep the neck long. So when I say that, what I mean is if my shoulders round like this and I start to compress the sort of cervical spine, so I want to feel as though my neck is free to move and extending. We're going to do that in the other direction, so just turning it to the other side, re-supporting through the hands. A favourite of ours at teaching aerial yoga is to do the back neck stretch. So we place the swing a little bit like a scarf in a way, so around the level of the ears. So in a way it's like eye level. If it was to come all the way around, it would be like eye level, but it's ear level. Yeah. And then we sit back. With the head suspended. Now you have to pick the right height for you, so this might be too high for some of you, in which case what you could do is either move closer to your plumb line, so the swing is not so far away from the floor. That might be a good idea. Or you can have your swing a little bit lower, so your head's not quite so high. Obviously I'm used to doing it, I know my own capacity in this position. So you should be feeling quite a lot of pressure around the ears, which is quite nice. It touches some acupressure points there in the ear area. It also touches some acupressure points at the back of the neck. So this can actually, once you get over the comfort issues with it and get to do it the right height, it can actually be a really relaxing posture. So sometimes I will finish sessions by doing 2, 3, 4 minutes of this posture. Probably not going to do that. We're not going to do that long today because this might be your first time doing it. But we'll spend a little time here. Try and relax your jaw. Excellent. So feel that rush of blood to your ears when you come out of that posture. Yeah, that'll give you younger looking ears. That fresh blood. So that's one potential way you can end classes. You know, also just climbing completely inside the swing. So you might prefer, after that sequence that we've just done, you might prefer to just, you know, climb inside and lie back in what we call the cocoon. Give yourself a little push. Give yourself this kind of rock, and you know, just wait a few minutes for the swing to finish rocking, and that could also be the end of your session as well. We're not going to do that today because we're very keen to get outside into the blue sky. It's the first time we've seen blue sky for weeks now, so we're not going to finish with the cocoon, but you personally could finish with the cocoon. This is Richard, also Agni behind the camera. We're teaching aerial yoga. We do these classes, we do online classes, we do trainings online and in person as well. So feel free to subscribe to the channel, join us for more classes. We like to make aerial yoga accessible to everybody. We really like to make it something that all kind of ages and body types can do. So we'll be releasing classes in different styles. Some will be more restorative, some will be more dynamic, some will be more like traditional yoga classes where you hold postures for a long time. Yeah? Enjoy your swing, practice safely, Until next time, thank you.